Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I believe many of you would not prefer spending your time with noses buried in books, right? Well, in today's video, we will give you several reasons why, regardless of your failing grades, some books should never be open. Welcome to the 8 most evil books shown in movies. Whether it is cursed tomes bound in human skin or those fun pop-up books, evil books come in many skins. Quite literally, they can open portals to ancient evil realms, unleash unspeakable horrors, or even give you a third eye. Whether they are the fruits of the mind of someone like Lovecraft, or even use mythology as a basis, these tomes are not props. They are characters in their own right. In this video, we dive into 8 evil books that even bookworms would steer clear of. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Kunda.
The Necronomicon, Evil Dead franchise. The first book on our list of evil books is the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead franchise, also referred to as the Book of the Dead. The Necronomicon Ex Mortis brought terror to towns for the first time in the Sam Raimi cult horror favorite film of 1981, The Evil Dead. Its pages were made of human flesh and written upon blood, supposedly originating from ancient Sumerian text. The book is discovered along with the relic of the Kandarian dagger. This dark tome soon becomes the harbinger of doom within the Evil Dead franchise, starring in almost all of its entries, be it sequels, reboots, or the television spin-off Ash vs. Evil Dead. Within the movies, the Necronomicon sets into motion every horrific aspect of the narrative. Reading any of its passages out loud means conjuring up demonic forces referred to as the Deadites. These evil entities will possess any living creature, including friends and relatives of the possessed person, and torturously convert them into grotesque, sadistic monsters. More than a mere plot device, the book becomes the very backbone of terror itself, breathing into its framework of chaos, the element of unpredictability with each scenario becoming the stuff of nightmares. Even in Evil Dead 2, it seems to engineer events for its own twisted purposes. Finally, in Army of Darkness, it's the main focus of the time-displacing mess that befalls Ash. Special powers of the Necronomicon book include spells which summon demons, reanimate the dead, open portals in time, and, more importantly, the curse of the souls upon all those who have ever touched this evil book. An interesting piece of trivia about this book is that Army of Darkness contains 3 separate versions of the same book, each of which has its own peculiarities, like allusions to slapstick horror and dimension-crossing confusion. Most of the myths surrounding the Necronomicon are fictional, and named H.P. Lovecraft as inspiration, although Raimi definitely created a much more visceral, gory version of it. As Bruce Campbell humorously pointed out, the book has gotten more consistent screen time than most actors in the franchise. Mr. Babadook's pop-up book, The Babadook, 2014. The 2014 psychological horror venture by Jennifer Kent begins with the aggrieved gift of an unidentified children's book called Mr. Babadook. Black and ominous, it pops up on young Samuel's shelf unbidden, and quickly becomes an entryway for the titular monster. The eerie design and unsettling tones in this book sharply contrast with other children's literature, hinting that it was conceived with far darker purposes and directly connects to the themes of loss and trauma that the film pursues. Mr. Babadook is described as a tall, shadowy figure, wearing a top hat with a sinister insistence upon entering into the home of the children. The rhyming text and gruesome illustrations gradually intensify the psychological torment, intrusion, and ultimate possession. The more Amelia denies it or tries to destroy it, the more dangerous it gets. Reading the book aloud is actually a summoning ritual, for the Babadook soon starts to show up physically and feeding on Amelia, who is still mourning her husband. It manipulates memories, distorts reality, and creates hallucinations in order to isolate its prey. To get rid of the evil, Amelia first tears up and burns the book, but it mysteriously comes back again in a more sinister form. In the end, the Babadook is not annihilated, but locked up in the basement, where Amelia feeds it worms as if it were a pet. This sinister pop-up book was so popular with fans that they demanded it be made into a real book. Jennifer Kent, the director of the cult classic, promptly answered the uproar and put out a limited edition physical book filled with pop-up illustrations and an ominous warning not to read it alone. This release has since become a prized item among horror enthusiasts. The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows, The Ninth Gate, 1999. In Roman Polanski's supernatural thriller The Ninth Gate, the rare bookseller Dean Corso, played by the oh-so-handsome young Johnny Depp, is offered the heady summoning of wealth from the occultist Boris Balkan, who wants him to authenticate the Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows, a grimoire from the 17th century reputed to summon Lucifer himself. Written by Aristide Torchia, a printer consumed to death by heresy, the book lives on in legends. There are only 3 known copies, but only one is presumed to contain the true engravings necessary for unlocking the book's dark potential. The book is said also to have been based upon an even older, since-lost book alleged to have been written by Satan himself. Consequently, Corso's task turns out to be a dangerous journey across Europe as he investigates the authenticity of each version. His work draws him into a shadowy underworld of murder, deceit, and satanic intrigue. At one point, he notices various illustrations with a signature that reads LCF, meaning Lucifer. These differences are ultimately what hold the key for the authentic purpose for which the book was really made, and separating truth from forgery. Anyone who reads this book becomes possessed and spirals towards obsession and madness, ultimately leading to death, thus highlighting the corrupting influence of the book. As Corso finally discovers the original copy and decodes the engravings, his fate is already decided. The last scene in the film shows Corso entering a white light beyond the Ninth Gate, suggesting that he may have crossed into the reality promised by the book. Interestingly enough, Grand Grimoire, the legendary text said to invoke demons, inspired this demonic book. All the engravings shown in the film are original, made for the production and based on genuine alchemical and occult symbols. The mysterious closing scene of the film continues to generate lively exchange among fans and scholars alike, ensuing a debate whether Corso received ultimate knowledge or ended up doomed for eternity. We know what we would prefer. Sutter Kane's novels. In the Mouth of Madness, 1994. Are you ready for some Inception-style madness? Because the next entry in our list of horror books will bend your perception and have you questioning reality. Surrounding the mysterious novels of a writer named Sutter Kane, this movie has been directed and scored by the legendary John Carpenter. Sutter Kane is an extremely popular best-selling horror writer whose work is published by a company aptly named Arcane Publishing. The narrative begins with an insurance investigator named John Trent being hired to trace the whereabouts of the missing author, only to find that Kane's works have a rather disturbing and adverse effect, not only on the readers, but on the fabric of reality itself. Kane's novels are more than chilling bestsellers. They are gateways for a malignant spirit. When John Trent reads Kane's latest manuscript, he begins to disintegrate psychologically. His investigation carries him into Hobbs End, a fictional town described among Kane's works, now very much existing within the real world. Kane's fiction serves as a summoning medium, bringing forth extra-dimensional entities that wish to reclaim Earth by erasing the thin boundary between fiction and reality. Readers don't simply get scared, but become believers, vessels, and ultimately victims of Kane's never-ending nightmare. At the climax of the movie, while Kane has finished the last manuscript, it is already in mass production and set to be made into a blockbuster motion picture. Fully untethered from reality, Trent realizes that he himself was created by Kane. Talk about a fourth wall twist. Chaos, insanity, and disintegration of society unfold upon the release of this manuscript's printing, hinting at the fact that the world is now being controlled by the very forces that Kane has helped to awaken. In the Mouth of Madness is one last salute to the Lovecraftian horror, with Kane becoming, in a meta-fictional way, a stand-in for H.P. Lovecraft himself. The publisher's name, Arcane Publishing, subtly notes to forbidden knowledge. This uncomfortable mix of fiction and prophecy has placed him somewhere among the other horror titans like King, Lovecraft, and others, rendering him one of the most compelling authors of fiction in the horror cinema. The Book of Eibon. Various Lovecraftian movies. The Book of Eibon is a storied grimoire of forbidden knowledge, originally written by Clark Ashton Smith and much later assimilated into the broader Cthulhu mythos alongside various works by H.P. Lovecraft. The potency and danger of the book are widely said to rival that of the Necronomicon, and it is said to contain the arcane writings of Eibon, a sorcerer from the ancient continent of Hyperborea. While confined primarily to literature, its ominous presence extends to several Lovecraft-inspired films, where it often operates as a conduit between the known world and the unknowable cosmos. In Lovecraft-themed cinema, the Book of Eibon serves as a narrative foreshadow, a vessel for apocalyptical knowledge unearthed by protagonists, occultists, or scholars. The discovery inevitably ushers disaster, summoning ancient horrors into the world, or unleashing reason-destroying chaos. The appearance of the Book of Eibon, whether being decoded in crumbling libraries or having been dug up from buried churches, always marks the advent of cosmic horror. Usually, its pages describe the gateways to other dimensions or rituals that desecrate natural laws, thereby lending itself to watch as a key instrument in unraveling mind and reality. As you might expect by now, it is said to describe rituals for summoning gods and demons, spells for interdimensional travel, and tales of ancient alien civilizations, aka everything sinister. Uniquely among tomes of magic, the Book of Eibon is steeped in philosophical horror, revealing forbidden truths that can shatter the human psyche. Those foolish enough to read it are said to risk insanity, mutation, or death. In certain interpretations, the book exerts its own will and compels the reader to serve the dark ambitions of the old ones. Spooky, right? While characters are always attempting to destroy or bury the book, it rarely stays away for long. Most adaptations show it as surviving, either hidden in plain sight or somehow reappearing in new hands. That resilience serves to underscore the tenet that certain knowledge, once free, can never be completely contained. The Book of Eibon is ageless, like the ancient evils it portrays, lurking in shadow, waiting to be read again. In Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, 1981, and The City of the Living Dead, 1980, the Book of Eibon makes memorable appearances as a doorway to infernal realms. It appears in several video games, as well as countless works for expanded mythos from Chaosium and other contributors to the Lovecraftian universe. The imprints of menace and its dreadful inevitability have cemented its position as one of the most iconic and dreaded tomes in cosmic horror. The Book of the Dead, The Mummy, 1999. Picture this. You're a wee teenager, watching a movie about a rogue man and a nerdy but beautiful Egyptologist. In the middle of inspiring an entire generation's bisexual awakening, Stephen Sommers' The Mummy, 1999, also introduced us to the legendary Book of the Dead, one of the ominous artifacts of ancient Egyptian magic, carved into obsidian and embellished with sacred hieroglyphics. The creation of the book during the reign of Set, the god of chaos, was hidden in the legendary necropolis of Hamunaptra, the city of the dead. The book was equally revered and dreaded. It held within its pages the forbidden incantations of resurrection, blasphemously reversing the finality of death. Oh, the horror! Through an expedition with adventurer Rick O'Connell, librarian and Egyptologist Evelyn Carnahan finds the book. Unaware of its dark potential, Evelyn accidentally awakens Imhotep, the cursed high priest, when she reads an incantation out loud. Once revived, Imhotep unleashes a reign of terror upon Egypt, triggering the 10 plagues and stealing the flesh and souls of his victims in order to regain his former strength. The Book of the Dead becomes at once the source of and possible solution to the unleashed evil. As you might expect from a book called The Book of the Dead, it is capable of raising the dead, summoning curses, and awakening ancient evil. It gives its reader the power over the undead, particularly the cursed remains of Imhotep and his priests. Unlike its gold counterpart, the Book of Amun-Ra, which contains protective and banishing spells, the Black Book is an instrument of chaos and corruption. Its dark magic is activated by the spoken incantation that sets ablaze the spells hidden in its obsidian pages. At the end of the first movie, like so much of Hamunaptra, the Book of the Dead is lost as the city crumbles into the sands, poetically buried once more beneath the desert. The fused design of the two, one black and one gold, reflects the dualism of life and death, destruction, and salvation. Each has an intricate locking mechanism through which it can be opened only with a sacred key, making them even more mysterious. Fans have long praised the aesthetics and lore surrounding them, and the replicas are still in great demand among collectors. Along with the legendary Mummy movies, the Book of the Dead remains memorable as one of modern cinema's great grimoires.
And here, the sign of Hell's winter, the jackal.
Arcanum, 13 Ghosts, 2001. The Arcanum is the mystical tome featured in the 2001 horror remake 13 Ghosts. It is a spectral and arcane book that chronicles the terrifying Black Zodiac, a cursed system that binds 13 tormented spirits to the earthly realm. This rare book is at the center of the ambition of a wealthy, ruthless occultist, Cyrus Criticos, trying to harness the secret behind it to use the Basilius machine. The machine, built by a demonically possessed astronomer, promises a revelation of infinite knowledge and power. Because which horror movie protagonist doesn't want that? The Arcanum is both the literal and thematic backbone of this film, defining events that bridge the lore surrounding the Black Zodiac. Each one of the 12 captured ghosts is a character of a chapter in the Arcanum. Over time, the Arcanum reveals that the 13th ghost must be made a reality through an act of self-sacrifice so that the machine is activated. Not inherently magical as in the conventional sense, it is a book on dark, forbidden knowledge. Its contents consisting of diagrams, containment spells, and the necessary alignments for the operating of the Basilius machine. In essence, it provides the blueprint for manipulating souls as fuel for a cosmic engine. Though Arcanum still exists beyond the happenings of the film, its practical relevance ceases with the destruction of the Basilius machine at the end of the movie, with the revelation of the 13th ghost being not a sacrifice, but an act of defiance. The machine is sabotaged in an explosive climax. The bound spirits are freed, breaking the ritual, and the purpose of the book is rendered inert. For now, the sinister concept of the Black Zodiac was original to the film, a disturbingly twisting equivalent of the original astrology. Each ghost has a highly detailed history, including their name, what killed them, and what they represent symbolically, which is explained further in the DVD extras and other promotional material for the film. This expanded lore has earned the Arcanum and the Black Zodiac cult status among horror fanatics, with many expressing the desire to see it further explored in a sequel or series. The Grand Grimoire, Warlock, 1989. The final entry in our list of horrors is none other than the Grand Grimoire, featured in the 1989 cult classic, Warlock. The entire narrative is based on a 17th century son of Satan, the Warlock, who has been sent to the 20th century by Satan to, you guessed it, destroy the entire world. And how is he to accomplish this oh-so-predictable task? By hunting down the 3 pieces of the Grand Grimoire and assembling it, because, lo and behold, the book holds the power to unmake creation. What a power trip. The book contains dark spells and blasphemous knowledge, but most importantly, the true name for that thing. Knowledge so holy and terrible that its very utterance is said to unravel the entire fabric of creation, inspiring the inspiration from real-world occult text versions with the same name. This film version makes it something else, a cosmically destructive piece of literature. Light reading, anyone? The Grand Grimoire is an oversized book of huge supernatural powers for its seriously unlucky and evil reader. As the Warlock continues to collect its pages, he possesses godlike powers including levitation, command of the weather, and psychic divination. The most terrifying aspect of this book is its ultimate shadowy potential, the spoken name of God, which could reverse the act of creation and plunge the world into oblivion. That terrifying possibility raises the grimoire above being a magical tool. It then becomes a cosmic weapon. At the climax of the film, Redfern does indeed succeed in preventing the Warlock from carrying out his plan. In a last-ditch attempt, he returns the Warlock to his original time, therefore denying him the opportunity to accomplish the grimoire's ritual. To prevent hazardous threats to future humanity, Redfern buries the pages somewhere in the middle of a salt flat. Hence, it ensures that the pages remain untouched and hidden from those who would do wrong and misuse their power. Because demonic powers hate salt with a passion, you know. According to occult traditions in the real world, The Grand Grimoire is thought to have been a demonic manual by which one could summon Lucifer. Only for dramatic purposes does the film exaggerate this mythology as the underpinnings for a massive good-evil battle epic. The chilling performance by Julian Sands as the Warlock has ensured the film a dedicated place in cult history, and the grimoire itself remains one of the most interestingly and dangerously fictionalized grimoire texts within horror cinema. Marvelous verdict. So here we are, 8 books that are so evil that they should never even be opened, let alone read. These insidious pieces of literature range from opening doors to hell or summoning Lucifer, the big bad angel himself, as long as there is someone stupid enough to read them out loud. If you were in a cabin in the woods and found a book bound in human skin and written in suspicious red ink, would you read it? Tell us in the comments section below, and if the answer is yes, then boy, do you need some help. Which book is your absolute favorite? The pop-up children's book or the mysterious Book of the Dead? In case you feel the hankering for some light arcane reading, our advice would be to stick to comic books. Seriously, thanks for watching, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks everyone.